Today on Locked On Rockies, a nice way to shore up the bullpen.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into a little Locked On Rockies podcast at night here for the day of the 17th of November in the year 2022. I'm your Rockies fan extraordinaire, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, well, guess what? You're in luck. You are in the right spot. That's what we do each and every day here on the Locked On Rockies podcast is talk about the Colorado Rockies. And today on the Locked On Rockies podcast, we're talking about the Rockies bringing back a good, solid piece. Nothing's too exciting, but a nice move in a nice way to shore up the bullpen. There were some things that worked last year. There are things that were consistent, and there were things that could show a more promising future as well. And that is all bottled up in really one player, I think, is a prime example of honestly giving of where we should give the Rockies credit where credit is due in terms of acquiring a player and applauding this move because of what he brings to the team in Dinelson Lamet. He is someone that isn't going to necessarily blow you away, but he's someone that helps this Rockies team. And we'll dive into that. But in case you're wondering, well, who's this guy talking about the Colorado Rockies? I am your Rockies fan extraordinaire, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk. Been following this team my entire life and been bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies podcast for 2 seasons and some change. So what we like to do around here, talk about the Colorado Rockies, but talk about it from a kind of a fan perspective as well, and bring you some of the great content that is with the Rockies as well. So let's talk about a really smart move. The Rockies bringing back a veteran arm for their bullpen is a slam dunk, and especially one that has a promising upside, but also one that is just going to be consistent. It's not the dominate. You're not always going to find the dominant player everywhere you go. You're not always looking for the next greatest, best closer ever. The Rockies aren't going to be able to afford that luxury. Most teams aren't. I know there are teams that are very much in the case of able to appeal with money and bringing players in financially and things like that. But with the reputation of the Rockies, with the reputation of where you play and with things of that nature, you're not always going to be able to bring in the best, especially when it comes to pitching. But when you're able to go out, add a player that teams moved on from during the season, and then see what you need to see from them, that's good development. That's good scouting. That's good front office work by the Rockies. And Dinelson Lamet was that type of player. He was someone that the Rockies could reliably count on and the Rockies could turn to, and got a nice little bounce back for himself. He joined the Rockies. He had 19 games and through 20 innings, posted a 4.05 ERA in that time. We're reading from Derek McDonald over here on MLB Trade Rumors. His strikeout rate jumped to 33.3% after being at 25.8% with San Diego. He also dropped his walk rate from 14.5 to 11.5%. It's a really, really good deal as the Rockies too get. He's going to make $5 million there for the year. It's just the 1-year arbitration deal. And it's exactly what you're going to see. You're not committing too much. You're hoping that if Lamet bounces back and continues to improve and show signs of life and get closer to what he did in 2020, then you as the Rockies are sitting there hoping that you're going to be able to work something out and he's going to be able to be a piece that works with the Rockies. On the flip side, if he is someone that is, is performing well, and if the Rockies aren't in another situation, he is a solid veteran, interesting trade piece that the Rockies could have, and if they would be willing to part with it. The Rockies have, again, not the flashiest, but consistency, but good performance Not great, but good performance that teams are looking for. And what Lamet did for the Rockies in his short time is exactly what you're hoping for when it comes to his appearances out of the bullpen. The ERA a little bit high, sure, but someone that was good for the Rockies. When you're looking at it, he was gave up 9 runs. They were all earned, 2 home runs on 10 walks to 29 strikeouts. So almost 20 more, 19 if you're being specific, but nearly 20 more strikeouts compared to walks. He has a whip of 1.20 and has a history of someone that was a finalist for a Cy Young in 2020. I know it's shortened, but his career isn't that long. He's not that old. He still has plenty of potential, and especially if you're seeing improvement, this is the right type of deal and the right type of move to make. And it gives you veteran arms in your bullpen, something that the Rockies really don't have much of, if any, sitting in their bullpen right now. This is a fine move. He someone that is going to be, again, consistent for the Rockies. That's what we need, good consistency, and we need to know and be confident. It's not always going to happen. It's baseball. That's how it goes. But I felt confident in Lamet on the bump. It's a nice Lamet into Bard is a good way to go in the end of games if the Rockies have a comfortable lead. Again, they don't have the firepower and the studs of, say, your World Series championship Astros, which had teams not even able to hit the baseball at all. But those two players are going to put yourself in a position to win more games than not from Rockies and win close games because of their ability to get the job done. It's something that the Rockies are going to be able to do all sorts of they just have options when with this. If he's not that good, if another team's maybe to look on him, you can go out and you can move him. Plenty of things to be excited by. Let's take a look at what people had to say about Lamet. Let's take a look at what the live chat is saying here as well. But before we do that, got to tell you about some of the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes SimpliSafe. If you've thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off, you'll want to listen up. Right now, Locked On Rockies listeners can order the #1 rated SimpliSafe home security system for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you won't want to miss it. You can get the best home security system of 2022 rated by U.S. News and World Report for a third year in a row. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real so you can get priority police response. SimpliSafe is a whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. They got the HD security cameras for inside and out, and they even have smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. With the top-rated SimpliSafe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere. Arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your camera, or adjust your system settings. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system recommended by the U.S. News World and Report, and get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/lockedonmlb. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/lockedonmlb. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Eric Harper in the live chat says, high fives all around. I like Dinelson this season. It was good. I mean, again, this was going out there, seeing the possibility, and what was the risk, right? I mean, he was DFA'd, he was released after trades, there wasn't a lot of excitement, but there was potential, and where the Rockies were at the point of this, in that point in the season last year, was exactly where you take a chance on someone like Lamet. This is exactly how you can build your relationship if Lamet turns out to be a solid piece in your bullpen. If he can bump up his WAR to about 1 and improve on some of these numbers, see what happens when he actually gets a full season and turn to in the purple pinstripes. What does that mean? I mean, what can that truly turn to for a guy that's had a pretty solid career so far? Baseball Reference, he's got a 16-20 win-loss record. Again, win-loss record, how much weight you want to put with wins and losses. But as a closer and a reliever, He was also a starter earlier on, so that plays a huge role into that when you're considering those numbers. With a career ERA 4.08 in 101 games, and again he started 56 of them. He's transitioning into a new role. The Rockies, I don't think, are going to look to put Lamet back into the starting rotation. A lot of the stuff that I was seeing on Rockies Twitter after this extension was signed and things of that nature was the plan is Lamet in the bullpen. He is not going to be someone that the Rockies turn to in terms of a starter, but does he give you maybe another Austin Gomber type option where if you need long relief that he can come in there? I could see that. I could see Lamet being turned to use 3 innings just because of his experience and what he's come to. He's not that far removed from being a starting pitcher, so he at least could tap into what it takes to get in the mindset and get you in there. Obviously, you hope you're not in a situation where you need to turn to your bullpen super early in a game, but the Rockies might do bullpen games on the 5th day. They might do some stuff depending on what type of performance they're getting from their players and what is available to them via maybe injury or depth or things of that nature. But again, in his career, he's got 439 strikeouts over 335 innings pitched with a career whip of 1.227. And again, like we said, came to Colorado and improved. 19 starts is a decent enough sample size for the reliever. It's 20 innings. It's not a crazy amount. It's not a starter, but we got 20 innings from Lamet, so we at least got a nice slice. It's something that we can look at and see. And let's take a little bit more of get more of a debrief on what Lamet did for the Rockies. Let's see what Evan Lang has to say over here on Purple Road. Dinelson Lamet was a solid late season addition for the Rockies in 2022. Right-handed pitcher Dinelson Lamet was a promising starter for the first few seasons of his career with the San Diego Padres and even placed 4th in Cy Young Award voting in 2020. However, an injury-riddled 2021 season derailed his progress. He was bouncing back and forth from the minors to the big league team and operating largely out of the Padres bullpen with limited success. In 12 1/3 innings spread across 13 appearances with the Padres, Lamet had an ERA of 9.49. When Lamet was sent to the Milwaukee Brewers at the trade deadline as part of the package that brought big-name closer Josh Hader to San Diego, it looked like he might get a new lease on his career. The Brewers designated him for an assignment before he threw a single pitch with their organization. Colorado Rockies, having seen Lamet plenty of times during his tenure with the Padres, wasted no time bringing him into the fold by claiming him and activating him to the big league roster on August 5th. Lamet made his first appearance for the Rockies on August 9th and will continue to be a regular staple out of the bullpen for the rest of the regular season. Lamet was one of the Rockies' top 5 most frequently used relievers during the final 2 months and the change of the 2022 season. That is something to highlight there. The Rockies clearly confident in him as well. Quick to activate him, quick to bring him in, and they turned to him for the rest of the season. They said, the opportunities are going to be yours. What are you going to do with them? And we got some pretty good results. Lamet had a strong first month with the Rockies operating out of the bullpen. Lamet only gave up earned runs in 2 of his 8 outings over 8 2/3 innings of work, and only gave up 2 earned runs during the month. He held opposing batters to a line of 161, 278, 290, while tallying 3 walks to 9 strikeouts. 2 bad outings in September and October marred an otherwise strong final month of the season for Lamet. On September 11th against the Diamondbacks, he gave up 2 earned runs on a walk and 2 hits over 1 inning. On October 1st against the Dodgers, he had his worst outing in purple, and we remember that one when he walked 3 straight batters. And then they walked 2 more batters, and it was that terrible, awful, no good game where they just decided to walk the Dodgers. And so that's where his ERA bloated. He gave up fewer hits, walked fewer batters, and got more strikeouts in Colorado as well. He is going to be someone that the Rockies are going to turn to. This is going to be a guy you're going to see pitch a lot for the Rockies next year, especially to start the season. He is going to go with the vet. The Rockies are going to feel a little bit more confident and a little bit better in being able to turn to Lamet than really any of your other options. And again, 1 year, the money it is with how things could go. This is a great move. This is I think something that we as Rockies fans should enjoy and something that we can look forward to. I think this is a possible, again, just solid relief pitcher that is just I think it's a really important thing that we talk about how you build around some stars, and it takes players like this, the not flashy ones, to just be consistent and good enough. And let's talk about that in just a second. But before we do that, your number one source for your sports betting info, stats, news, analysis, live props, future bets, all amateur professional leagues. Well, it can be found all at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can find the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football, basketball, soccer, and even on the digital battlefields of esports. They've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, well, I'm assuming you do. You love this show, so why not? You can find more of them at BetOnline as well. We are the fastest and the easiest way. By we, I mean betonline.net. They are the easiest way to get your betting fix. And you can head to the website today. That's betonline.net, or use your mobile device to learn more about BetOnline. BetOnline. That's betonline.net, where the game starts. We've been talking about Dinelson Lamet, talking about bringing in players like that, and this is kind of something we need to think about. These are the right type of acquisitions. Good veteran players are something that some people might sit here and say, "Well, he's not that good." Dinelson Lamet, look at these numbers. Look at how bad it is. But good careers, up and down, consistent players, good players, even the ones that don't make the headlines, are gonna go up and down. Look at what we just talked about when we break down Lamet's time with the Rockies. Dominant, well, let's go back and read the numbers here before those last two appearances here. He gave up earned runs in 2 of his 8 outings over 8 2/3 innings of a month, and over the course of a month, he only gave up 2 earned runs in total. The batters were held to a line of 161, 278, 290, while tallying 3 walks to 9 strikeouts. That's a really solid line. But in baseball, it's going to be corrections. The best in the business get lit up sometimes. The best in the business fall. It's how can you bounce back after that? And unfortunately, we didn't get to see a ton here. 2 bad innings towards the end. More often than not, though, Lamet was up for the challenge, and he's going to help your team win. He's going to be a piece of that is going to fly under the radar. But then when you look at what might be successful, and the Rockies might still not be a great team this year, a good team, they might still not struggle, but it'll at least be nice to see when the Rockies instead it's not because of, it will be. I guess it's kind of hard for me to put. It's not because of just the inability to do this out of the bullpen when Lamet's there. If Lamet is solid, he's not going to be the reason the Rockies are 30 games below 500, but he's also the team that helps. He's a type of player that helps you get to the 83 wins. If a player like Dinelson Lamet is good next year, improves on what he did in last year and for the Rockies, then the Rockies are going to win more games or be in a position to win more games by the nature of his position. Just like Daniel Bard. It's going to be hard for Daniel Bard to be as good as he was last year. Bard's that's arguably a career year for him. He even got an MVP vote by Tracy Ringlesby, which was kind of crazy. But if Lamet improves, if just like Bard was when Bard took a step forward, if a player like that improves, you're going to win those close ball games. But the team also has to have other players that are stepping up and also starting to perform. It takes everyone performing. And if the Rockies are just stuck and they can't get out of their own way, doesn't matter when you have one of the best closers in baseball. Doesn't matter if you have a decent setup, man. If you're already down 2 runs, it's very, very interesting. It just takes. These are the type of players that help great players be better. These are the players that help great teams get better. And these are the teams that should help the Rockies, or type of players that should help the Rockies get better as well. How much better? We'll see. I mean, I don't think adding Dinelson Lamet really makes the Rockies a contender right away, but I feel a little bit better about the bullpen. I feel better knowing that Dinelson Lamet came back to the Rockies and is going to come out and pitch for the Rockies. It's that's really it's more of a little. I feel that's how I really want to sum up this and just kind of the opinion on Lamet. He's a solid add. He helps the Rockies get better, and he should be in a position to help the Rockies win more games. Is it the flashiest thing? Is it the most exciting thing? No, but this is where we do give credit where credit is due. A nice move by the Rockies, bringing Lamet in last month, and this good. Just do the 1 year, see what happens, and with Lamet's age and with Lamet's possibilities, you can extend if it pans out. If he's really doing well, there's a lot of upside here for the Rockies. And if it doesn't work out, it's a 1 year deal, and you try again. That's what happens. I mean, and then there's multiple opportunities, a lot of upside to this deal. In the live chat, we hear Stefano Sanchez is Dinelson. It's a good pitcher. I agree. And yeah, Eric, an MVP vote for Daniel Bard is preposterous. There were better closers than Bard last year. But hey, we'll take it, man. Tracy, if you're not familiar, has ties to the Colorado scene. So, and I think he had Nolan at like 8th on the list in terms of voting. It was an interesting list, but if you missed it, Paul Goldschmidt was voted the MVP, or at least I'm pretty positive he was. I think was announced there. I was seeing it. I've been kind of all over the place today. That's kind of why we're having Locked On Rockies be recorded at a time it never is. But yeah, Paul Goldschmidt does win the MVP. Confirmed there. But folks, that is going to do it for Locked On Rockies today. Stefano, I'll have to look into Erasmo Ramirez, and we'll find out more about him, and we'll talk about him on the next episode of Locked On Rockies. You can find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. We are also part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and for your second listen of the day, you can find the Locked On Sports Today podcast, where you can catch up with all things in the world of sports. You can also follow the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, and Locked On Nuggets podcast for your look at all things Colorado sports. And follow us on Twitter at LO Rockies. You can follow me, Paul Holden 33, and subscribe to Locked On Rockies and be part of the show, just like Eric and Stefano. And until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.